Okay, I just want to call this meeting of council to order at 7 o'clock on January the 25th. Welcome to everybody who's here to go through these proceedings, and just wanted to remind us all that we're on live streaming, so be on our best behavior. So we, just to call this meeting to order, have a mover to call a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Can I move her for that? Councillor Fisher? Oh, sorry.
That's right. I actually have a declaration.
You actually have a declaration.
Thank you very much. Even though I wasn't attending, I understand there was a closed session involving matters with respect to Pearl development, and for the record, I do have a conflict of interest with that issue as a result of owning property adjacent to the development and having a business tenant who would be impacted by it. So, for the record, that's a conflict.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Any other declarations? Okay. We did meet in a closed session as council, and I have nothing to report out of that closed session. We'll move into presentations and announcements, section 6 there, and I wanted to briefly give a little bit of a county report. As you know, county is in the budget deliberations currently. We started at a 3.3% increase. And a few of the councillors indicated that they weren't thrilled with that number as a starting point. I made a comment about the additional 10 FTEs and staff complement in 1 year was fairly high. I also stated the need for more fulsome discussion at a county council level about balancing the tax levy with finding revenues through reserves or looking at their debt level. Right now, their debt level is about 4% of own source revenue. We're sitting, I think, between 11 and 12%. So I felt that that was something that we should be talking about as a full county council. Then the budget proceeded through the standing committee process. The county has a standing committee process rather than a committee of the whole process. So through this process, that increase of 3.3 was further reduced to 2.8. And then last week at the Administrative Finance and HR Committee, staff was asked to go back to get to a 2.5% increase. So that's where it's sitting right now. This recommendation will be put to County Council on Thursday, and we'll see where that goes. So we'll see what the discussion is like. In the Administrative Finance and HR Committee, I put forward a recommendation that the county establish the strategic priorities to guide spending and priority setting. The committee accepted that recommendation, and staff will be coming back with a report about a scope and the cost for such a strategic priorities project. What's critical for me is that we don't just play a game of moving from 2% to 3% every year, but there is good rationale behind why we're providing that direction, similar to the process we went through as a township here. So I'll keep you updated on what comes out of Thursday's council meeting. Just a quick GRCA update. We elected a new chair, Helen Jowett, and I think I sent this information on to council. She's a member of the Waterloo Regional Council. She's been elected as the chair of the GRCA. And Guelph Moss Mayor and County Councillor and former Warden Chris White has been elected as the vice chair. So that's good because we have, in addition to a larger city representative, we have Chris who is more on the rural side, and a county representative. So that's good for us. So that's an update on the GRCA. And that's all I have for the county update. Councillor Fisher, committee update.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. Heritage Centre Wellington met last week. Had a fairly lengthy meeting. The bulk of the meeting was taken up with discussing the proposed heritage permit for the alterations on the north side of the River of Pearl development, the mill and the precinct around there. I declared my conflict there and didn't intend, but I sat outside and they had a fulsome discussion. No action was taken, and I think there's further meetings to come on that. The other interesting piece of information from that meeting was property at 43 West Mill Street in Elora. The owners appeared and actually requested a designation, and as I understand it, that would be the first designation on Mill Street West in Elora that we've ever had. So I think the committee expressed the hope that there would be more to follow, but anyway, they were obviously very pleased to see that. And the other piece of information is that the Elora BIA had its annual general meeting 25th of January. I don't know. I can't remember now exactly, but they are proceeding for an ambitious plan for the new year. I think they'll probably be appearing at budget, and you'll see some of the results of their deliberations. But that's all on track. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Councillor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, but I have no report for the Victoria Park Senior Centre this month.
Councillor Kitchers?
Thank you, Mayor. Farm safety. They had organized a ATV information in Tibbettville. It was very well attended. I couldn't make it, but I heard about it, and it's one of those things that I feel that if this council is interested, they could give us information about upcoming legislation or the liabilities with ATVs on our roads, especially rural roads. There is a pancake breakfast in Alma done by the Farm Safety this Saturday. It's 8 o'clock till noon. On economic development, we didn't meet as a whole, but we met as a committee on the fees, and I felt it's a little bit lost its path. We don't seem to be able to focus very much. There's always another stipulation about what we're doing. I feel hopefully next month we're going to bring some more things to the table, and we'll be able to refocus on that.
Thank you, Councillor Kitchers. Councillor Van Leeuwen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the Fergus BIA met this past week. They've gotten back into action and successfully made it through the holiday season, which is always a big part of the BIAs. The Christmas season is very active for them. And then also with the economic development, we again met as subcommittee for the Development Land Committee. That was there's some recommendations coming forward out of that committee. Of course, they'll go directly to the Economic Development Committee first, prior to being referenced to the council for recommendation. So I look forward to how that processes through and the recommendations that we come up with from there. Just a small update of where we're going. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Van Leeuwen. Councillor Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Safe Communities met last week. Again, like many, we're just getting back into the new year. There's plans to bring forward a community-wide, county-wide event initiative through the OPP regarding safe community, regarding a portion of it with safe communities and other activities that the OPP do, and it's going to be a very robust day. It will be a day long that will be happening in April. So as soon as that date is available, I'll make sure to report on that. Also, the subcommittee that I'm on is actually meeting this week, intentional self-harm, and we have a few initiatives that we're working on in that committee. The minutes are now complete for the community medical services or service building, and so that's all now well underway, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Councillor McElwain?
Thank you. The Community Services Advisory Committee completed discussions on the community impact grants, and we'll be hearing about that this week during budget negotiations. And we started discussions on community initiated projects. I believe that's the term being used, right, Brian? And so that will be moving forward over the next couple of months to come up with a plan to bring to council.
Thank you very much, councillors, for those updates. Now moving on to an introduction of an artist. We have Beverly Cairnes from the Elora Arts Council here, and she is going to introduce an artist whose work you see in our chamber here. So welcome, Beverly.
I'm here representing the Elora Arts Council, who brings you the display, which changes 4 times a year in this chamber, and also at the Sportsplex. and at the hospital as well. And I would like to introduce tonight the artist Dennis Novosad. Dennis is from Fergus. He lives in a beautiful stone heritage building on St. Patrick's Street in Fergus. And he has been on the Elora studio tour and has been active for many years in the Fergus community, arts community. I'd like to say also that I have had some conversations with the clerk of possibilities of extending some of the art shows in the council building here, possibly bringing in sculpture and maybe finding a place where we can once again show textile art, which has been kind of limiting recently, but we would like all these various types of visual art to be displayed in the council chamber representing our amazing artistic community. So if I could introduce Dennis Novosad. Dennis? He will just speak to you a few minutes about his own work. Thank you.
I want to thank Mayor Kelly Linton, councillors, and especially Beverly Cairnes for allowing me to display my art in the Centre Wellington Council chambers. It's a real honor to be here. My studio and gallery in the Framing Square business is located in Fergus, where I live with my wife Kathy. We've lived there for over 20 years in an old century stone home. The Framing Square is a framing business, picture framing business, that I operate out of my studio. A teacher's exchange program for my wife allowed us to travel to Australia and live there for 2005 and 2012. And during that time, I was able to paint with local artists. And during that time, I produced enough watercolors to have a solo art show on both occasions. The inspiration for my paintings come from our travels, other countries, camping in northern Ontario, local scenes in central Wellington, and ponds in my backyard. We're planning a trip this summer to go to the Yukon, so my camera and memory card will probably be full of images for me to paint. I'm an avid photographer, which is a big part of my art. I reference my photographs using the information to compose my paintings. Some of my latest images include dancing, and in trying to capture the dancers, it's a difficult task in a two-dimensional piece, but I enjoy doing that. I work mostly in watercolor, but enjoy painting and drawing with acrylic, oil, pastels, and charcoal. I've been drawing for approximately 30 years and painting, mostly self-taught. I've taken a number of University of Guelph fine arts courses while I worked there for 34 years as a mechanical designer and project manager in construction. I retired in 2004, which allowed me more time for my art. I have also had the privilege of taking a number of workshops with local well-known artists. I currently paint with 11 other artists every Monday night. Tonight might be an exception. We call ourselves the Monday Night Painters, and as a group we have a number of successful shows. We've had some in Guelph and locally here. My studio is open during the Elora Fergus studio tour, which is for 2 weekends, September and October. And I'll be glad to show my art and picture framing at any time by appointment. The art that is displayed in the council chamber is a collection of some of the places that we've visited and photographs that I've taken. And I hope you enjoy them while they're hanging here in the chamber. And my website is framingsquare.ca if you want to know more about myself and my business. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and to display my art in public. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to display your work here in the chamber. Does councillors have any questions? Councillor Morris?
Dennis, can you just explain to us the difference in the use of oil and watercolors? Like, are there unique challenges with each?
It's just the opposite of way you paint. With watercolor, you start with a white piece of paper, and you have to plan to keep that white and that brilliance alive. Whereas with oils, you can lay the whites on top. It's just the reverse of painting.
Well, interesting, and I can't wait to see what you come back with after your trip to Yukon. That'll be very fascinating.
Well,
thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today. Thanks, Beverly. Moving on, we have a presentation from Center Wellington Energy Innovations, and I believe that Doug and Bill are going to be tag teaming here. Are you going to come up first, Doug? Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you today, and we're excited to announce you're the proud new owner of a new corporation called Center Wellington Energy Innovations. So, as you recall, we were challenged quite a while ago to go out and try and find some different opportunities that promote economic development in our community and some business opportunities. And we think that we might have come up with something that has a lot of potential. So you recall a number of years ago I've been looking at various things with combined heat and power projects and district energy and so forth. And during that time I had the good pleasure of meeting Bill Oliphant. And Bill's been in the energy sector for quite a few years, as well as he worked for IBM and as a IT security and also with Hydro One. And that's where our paths first crossed, and Bill was actually at Envita. So he has a lot of knowledge of energy and district energy and alternative forms of energy. So we've been sort of working together on various things for the last couple of years, and this opportunity has now come up that we think has a lot of merit. So I'm going to ask Bill to come up, and he's going to go through the slide deck. And if you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to chat with you about it, answer them, and look forward to your questions. So go ahead, Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, councillors, thank you. I'll address you to your packages that you have with this presentation that we put together for you, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of understanding of what we're trying to do, as Doug says, part of your new corporation. So called Center Wellington Energy Innovations. The tagline we put on this was Rethinking Energy, and we'll talk a little bit about how that's done. Can you hear me okay? So we'll just walk through a quick agenda here, just give you a bit of a background on what's happening with the market, the energy market today, some of the concepts we have of Center Wellington Energy Inc., some revenue opportunities, and certainly, as Doug mentioned, ways in which we can bring some new economic development here to Center Wellington. We're also going to talk about a test facility. So we put in some funding applications to build a test facility here in Fergus, and we'll talk a little bit about that, and then give you an opportunity for some question and answer. Okay. So some of the energy market drivers and influencers we have today. Certainly, the environment is certainly top of mind for most municipalities and provinces, and certainly our entire country. So that's going to drive some additional requirements and additional opportunities for new and innovative ideas. Aging system and infrastructure. This is probably top of mind for certainly for Wayne and his team with Center Wellington Hydro, and also for the services that are provided to us through Hydro One. A note there from the Conference Board of Canada, just to give you some perspective of the type of investment that's required for doing some of these upgrades. They've estimated $350 billion to look at just transmission lines alone. And this really is looking at the expansion and rollout of new technologies along with expansion and more consumers in the environment as well. There's also a pressure to move the generation from a centralized generation into a distributed generation mode, driving energy generation down closer to the home. So solar rooftops, mechanical generation in what's called embedded energy. So that's also a driving factor as well. And consumer demands or customer demands. Stability in costs. Just recently it was announced that an 8.9% increase was part of the cost increases for 2015. And we'll certainly see pressures for those costs over 2016 and 2017. Prediction of about 50% increase by 2020. So it's quite extensive as far as energy costs. And the things we're looking at with this system is to help maintain or drive those costs down, make this area more competitive and more attractive for those to move into from a commercial and from a residential perspective. Reliability is a big part of this. Certainly, the storms recently in New York, millions of people out of power for numbers of days while snow came down, and this is really being driven by past hurricanes and storms and ice storms. The reliability is certainly an issue, leaving people in the dark. And again, back to protecting the environment. Certainly, leveraging, or what we're looking at leveraging, is the renewable energy side, and that is certainly would help with any reduction in our carbon. Also providing some additional reliability to our customers. So some of the market evolutions that we just talked briefly about. Energy conservation is certainly putting pressure on our local utility in that it's reducing the amount of revenue that they have available to them. The more people that install solar panels for their own purposes reduces revenue for our hydro utility. So we need to look at ways in which we can provide those services out to the customer base, but still give opportunities for Central Wellington Hydro to make and maintain and have a sustainable relationship with their customers to provide those services. Local distribution companies are required to maintain the grid. So really what's happening now is that when more customers are installing solar, they're coming off the grid, but the grid still needs to be there. So with lesser revenue and more customers coming off the grid, that costs are now being spread across fewer people. So the costs for the remaining people are going up. So we need to look at ways in which we can manage that. Lots of discussion currently on carbon taxation, cap and trade, how do we reduce our carbon? Certainly top of mind for federal, provincial, and municipal governments. How do we now participate in protecting the environment? Based on those that believe that carbon is a key contributor to climate change. Now, the next one, microgrid. I don't know how familiar anyone here is with microgrid. I've put that down as a target. But really, microgrid is, as I mentioned, moving more of the generation down to the local areas. So having residents participate in generating electricity. So the parts that they don't use, or the amount they don't use, is then pushed back into the grid. And what we're looking at is taking each and every one of those blocks or communities and making them self-sustaining. So that really is what a microgrid becomes. There's been considerable growth on this technology, specifically in the U.S., driven by Hurricane Sandy, with many people out of power for many days, weeks, and in fact even months. To move power generation closer to the home gives them that reliability. And certainly using renewable energy as much as solar or as storage allows for them to have that higher reliability. Smart grid is certainly another piece of that. So smart grid technology is allowing the ability for our hydro or our LDC to switch power around faster and to understand it better. So certainly lots of talk about smart meters, but the value of what those smart meters are doing, where we can understand where people are using energy, when they're using energy, how much they need. So then when we start designing new technologies or implementing new technologies, we know where people are going to be using power. Fuel cells are certainly another piece of that. where we're actually storing energy. So storage will be a big piece of the next, let's say, 10 to 15 years as part of implementing new technologies, but it's very immature at this point, certainly from a residential side and from a distribution side. And when I say immature, I mostly mean expensive. So more research is required into how we would use storage in a local distribution, how we would use it at home, what does it mean, what controllers need to be in place, those types of things. And that's really where the test facility will help us understand that a little bit more. And micro CHPs. Now, I know we're throwing a lot of concepts at you at one time. So really what micro CHPs are anything less than 50 kilowatts. So if you think of a house would be using 3 to 5 kilowatts of power, then we're talking about something that would power 10 homes. And that's usually run by gas, and it generates electricity with that gas, and then any of the waste heat could be used for heating or doing some other function. Okay? So why I said rethink energy. So all those concepts that I've just given you are things to think about. How do we now do stuff where today where we have a local distribution that is taking power from a centralized generator, they're transmitting the power across a transmission line, we dump it down into the distribution and it gets delivered to your home. In that process, we have about a 30 to 35% efficiency. So 65% of the power is wasted in that model. So we want to look at other ways in which we can increase that efficiency to 65, 85, 90% efficiency. So everything that we're generating, you're consuming. So that's a big piece of that. And in driving that efficiency, we're also looking at reducing costs. So what are we as Center Wellington Energy Innovations? Well, we really are an energy services company focused on increasing the implementation of community-based energy systems. So giving customers, our current customers for Center Wellington Hydro, the capability to participate in generating electricity and consuming it at a lesser cost. So what we'll provide? Certainly economic benefit to the community. We've had an opportunity to apply for a series of grants and funds through provincial funding organizations that will bring in roughly a couple $1 million worth of funding to help us build a test facility and draw attention to Center Wellington as part of delivering new and innovative services. Alternate revenue streams through new service offerings. So as I mentioned, there's this big pressure on the local distribution to reduce, or by reducing their revenue, we want to flip that table around and say, what can we put in place to increase our revenue and increase that sustainability of the service? Interest in academic research. There's considerable amount of research that's going on in today's universities. Certainly in Ontario. I work with at least 5 today that have either built or are building simulation tests for smart grids and microgrids. There's new technologies that are being delivered and developed for monitoring and managing and switching and controlling, and even looking at other areas where microgrids are completely disconnected, what we call remote communities. These would be First Nation communities, etc., mining communities, where they are using diesel energy as their only source of power today. And how do we flip them over to using renewable energy for that source? All that learning will go into this community as well. And the last point there, the collaboration with Center Wellington Hydro, we really want to look at outreach. What are people really looking for? How can we break down barriers for organizations, for residents and organizations to buy into renewable energy? It has been expensive in the past. The prices are coming down for a solar panel. And certainly our ability to use that power, we haven't harnessed as yet. So, some potential revenue opportunities. I'm sure this is top of mind. So what are we doing this for? Why are we creating this new organization? So we're looking at microgrid solutions as part of that revenue stream. Trying to look at ways in which we can deliver either mechanical or renewable energy into the community and still provide some revenue back to Center Wellington Hydro. Development of technologies that we could also sell out to the community. So there are a number of LDCs that are, again, testing this type of technology and see a need for it. Well, we'd like to use our experiences and the development of our technologies to sell back to them. So the learnings we have, we can then share. So we're sort of doing this three-step thing where we're taking information from our research center, our academics, building technologies to create and deliver to our own community, and then an opportunity to sell it out to other communities. Renewable and storage solutions, as I mentioned, the maturity level of these solutions, really not there yet. Certainly the folks like Elon Musk from the Tesla systems, I don't know if you've heard that name or not. He's building what's called the Gigawatt Factory down in the States. It's a big storage factory that he's partnered with others in the world to build the best and fastest battery solution systems. They are certainly reducing the cost to try to get them into residential properties more and prolifically, but there's still some barriers and challenges with that. Embedded generation, talked a little bit about renewable, but we're also looking at ways in which we can improve storage capabilities. So I'll give you an example of that, where we can heat up a water heater to 140 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 120 and cool that water down afterwards with mixed water. So if we need or we have an excess amount of energy, we can heat that water up. Or if we have excess amount of energy, we can store it in a battery system. Or thirdly, and I'll show you a little bit on the test facility, we can actually store it in something called silicone bricks, which is really a thermal storage. So we can heat up the bricks, and when we need the thermal, when we don't have the power, we can just turn a small fan on and it would radiate the heat into the system. So we're looking at different ways in which we can do that. Most of the microgrid and smart grid test facilities that have been done today have ignored the whole thermal side of the equation, which is really what we're trying to explore. So the test facility, I'll give you a little example on the next page, but really what we're doing here is we're looking at leveraging the 5 acres on the north end of Garshore. This would have capability to replicate a residence, 4 residential homes. It would also allow us to install embedded generation, storage, mechanical and renewable, and still be connected to the grid so we can understand the interactions between the grid and a microgrid test facility. We're looking at using that area to simulate residence. So in essence, what we will build is 4 shipping containers that will be much like homes, that will have some type of consumption going on inside the home, and will have the ability to heat it and cool it. So we're really going to replicate how those systems would work. We're looking at leveraging current technologies, engineering and supplier relationships. So we have a number of very skilled individuals and companies in the Centre Wellington area and also from Guelph that will assist us in providing these services. We're going to aid in the development of new technology as well, and we've partnered with a number of companies that will help us build these new technologies, as I mentioned, as an opportunity to sell out to others and to leverage the deployment here within the distribution system. We're going to determine resources and economic requirements for managing microgrids. So we can talk about all this great technology that we go and deploy, but if it costs us too much money to manage it, then it really becomes worthless. So we really need to test those capabilities to see what is the impact on the system, how much money do we save as far as energy consumption, and at the same time, what costs are we incurring when we start to put these new innovations into play. And then, as I mentioned, the outreach. By building something physical, we can actually have people come and see it. And when you can touch it, and you can smell it, and you can see it in action, and you can see meters turning, it makes a real difference for people. They get very excited about it. So that's really why we looked at the test facility as a big piece of this puzzle. So I'll show you a little bit of what we're looking at here. Hopefully you have a little bit of an understanding of some of the language that's up there. But what we're looking at doing is today, everything is distributed to residents and to commercial owners on what's called an AC bus, an AC-DC bus, which means that you have a single meter on your home and you pay for your consumption on that single meter to the LDC. Now, if we went and installed the red bar, which is really a solar panel on each of those rooftops, and we put some storage facilities inside of each of those homes, effectively each of those homes could run off grid. And if they do so, then we lose the capability of revenue for the distribution company. But if we build another bus, the DC bus on the other side, and we own and operate the storage and the solar panels on the rooftops, we can now sell that power back to consumers as well. So consumers now start to participate in the whole program. They have solar panels on the rooftop, they have storage in their basement. We break the barriers in that we help in the rollout of those systems, and we are able to distribute it in such a way that we can now continue revenue. So the test facility really is going to look at how that system is done. In all of the big pieces, we now have to manage that. So we also have on the top section above that integrated energy management system, solar, wind, storage, fuel cells, and generators. So effectively, we're creating a small environment, a microgrid, where we can be self-sustaining. But there's all sorts of implications that happen with that, and we want to make sure we're testing and validating them. So, in summary, we want to research a workable financial and technical solution. We want to make sure that we're developing systems and technologies that are driving revenue and also solving problems. We want to create opportunities to resell those technologies to the local market and to outside this local market. We want to eliminate financial and technical barriers. We want to be able to provide somebody a solution where they don't have to outlay $30,000 or $40,000 to be participating in renewable energy. We want to see how we can break those barriers down. We want to create an environment that will attract research. So as much as we build this test facility, we're hoping that we're going to draw people into the test facility to start working with us and maybe bring in new economic development to the community as well. Existing technology and suppliers and funding relationships are what we want to leverage, which we have a fairly substantial amount of wealth here in the community. And we want to benefit the community for education and participation. So that is Center Wellington Energy Innovations. And I know I threw a lot at you in a very short period of time, but thank you for your patience and your interest, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Thanks, Doug. There's a lot here, and some really innovative and creative ways of approaching energy. The purpose of bringing it to council is to bring us up to speed on where you're heading on this, and I just open it up to councillors if you have any questions. Councillor McLean?
Quick question: does the economics of rely on the FIT program at all, or is it completely separate from the existing FIT program?
No, what we look at is that we're trying to do this without government intervention. So it's the best way to make something happen is to remove that as a requirement. So that's why we're really looking at ways in which we can gain some wealth with the residents and also provide some type of economic model that makes sense for the business as well.
Councillor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions, Bill. First of all, has the economic value to the marketplace been quantified for this type of innovation? Do we know how deep the pool is, so to speak, in terms of what you can reasonably expect to gain?
So you're speaking on a global market perspective?
Well, no, I'm just talking Ontario, locally.
So the Ontario market certainly, what they're trying to invest in, and there's some considerably large funds that are doing so. So the Smart Grid Fund is one of the applications we've put in for. That's a $50 million fund sponsored by the Ministry of Energy. They certainly believe that by investing in local or embedded systems would speak about tenfold to the investment they would need for improving the transmission systems. So if you think of something like the replacement of Darlington. So Darlington Nuclear Station is going through a refurb today. That's a $13 billion investment. So by investing $50 million into research, they certainly see that as a better economic benefit and also drives the research and innovation down to the local level. So I think from that perspective, they're seeing that there is some value in it. We certainly see in the marketplace today that there's a need for this type of investment. It's outside, as Councillor McLuhan said, we really want to get the government out of the way and see how we can drive change and innovation without their assistance. So I don't hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, that's very good, but I guess I was trying to get at the revenue side in terms of quantifying the potential revenue from the market for the eventual product that is developed. How broad is the marketplace? In other words, are we looking at billions? Are we talking just a few million? In terms of what reasonable return? Like, how deep's the water you're fishing in?
Well, I think it's quite a deep market. The smart grid market today is a $400 billion market. We're certainly not within this community at that level, but I would suggest that we're at the hundreds of millions of dollars of opportunity. Whether or not we can tap into those resources with the solutions that we come up with would be interesting to see. We do have a lot of backing from the provincial government to deal with some other opportunities in the remote sites. So I think the revenue opportunity is quite large. We won't know specifically until we start to develop these systems and see what type of costs that we can come up with. But I would say today that the costs for the technology that we'll be using, which is standard technology, solar panels, battery storage, the thermal storage that I talked about, it's been around for 35 years. So those standard technologies that we're using are all reducing in cost as more people use them. So we'll see our costs certainly go down, our revenue opportunity go up as we try and map against some of the increases for the electrical cost, but certainly not as much, so that we can provide some competitive differentiation. So from a revenue opportunity, I think our revenue opportunity is very, very large. And as I mentioned, we're probably in the hundreds. I will say 100 at this point, but it's probably within the next 5 years, we're looking at a $10 million or somewhere in that revenue.
Okay. Councillor Van Leeuwen first, and then Councillor McLean, and then Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I have to say, Bill, this is it's actually very interesting and exciting to see some new ideas coming forward that we can. I see you've filled your toolbox full of different ideas. You're coming forward and say, okay, what are we going to pick? I really like the idea of these microgrids or these opportunities to take control and get people investing with their homes, generating power, and yet still have the control to sell it in. If I understood it correctly.
Yes.
We see that kind of even here already with that net zero homes, but that's a one opportunity, and they take themselves off the grid. And
Yes.
And I like the idea where we see this microgrid. We still have the opportunity to control it, and then we also get the opportunity to make revenue via it. This I also think, even aside from revenues, which I always hope happens, is will give something unique to the community to invest in. To say, okay, well, here's a home, you can be part of a 10-home microgrid. You're off the system in a sense, and we're gonna keep you there. People are investing in it. We see that those homes are selling, so you can see that there's an appetite for that type of thing in this community.
That's right.
So I'm excited. This is neat to see, and I'm excited, and I hope that within the 5 to 10 years we get some good revenue coming forward.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah,
Just,
sure.
on that note, Councillor Van Leeuwen, it's interesting to note that Centre Wellington Hydro now has the ability as well to, if there's customer investment on their part, we can actually put that piece of the funding on their hydro bill, and they can pay it over a time period. So instead of having to go on, so we're looking at those types of initiatives now with Centre Wellington Hydro. So something like that requires an investment, they can pay it, and a piece of it goes on their bill. So to your points.
Thank you. My other question, do you have an estimate of the employment opportunity here in Centre Wellington for your research facility?
Well, we do and we don't, because I think it's going to take a little bit of time to sort of settle the dust, if it will. Certainly, the first couple years that we look at it will be focused on the academic side. Getting the establishment of the test facility and working with some of the academia that we have. Certainly, as we start to roll this into to a service that we're providing, we'll have opportunities for installers, opportunities for maintenance, certainly opportunities for local companies to do the installation and to provide the technology as well. So our estimates at this point right now, we don't really have a full estimate of how fast that will grow. It will really be how quickly we develop something of interest and how fast the take-up will be. So,
Follow up. Do you see this kind of becoming a, for lack of a better word, creative industry type of hub? Would you bring in a lot of high-tech skills?
well, we certainly will. The folks that we have already highlighted have been experts in the field for some time. Some gentlemen that we've been working with at University of Waterloo, some of the others that are helping us with the development, they're very, very high-tech individuals. So I think that level will bring interest here from other companies that are either worldwide or are developing. There's a fair bit of work effort that's being done within the province to promote the growth of energy-related technologies, and I think that the need for it in order to make sure that we're maintaining competitive cost for our electricity is driving that as well. So I think ideally at the end of it, that would be a wonderful thing to happen, that this would be the center of a very technological development area for energy. So, and really why we called it innovations was to do so.
Councillor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bill, I do want to thank you because I agree with Councillor Van Leeuwen that this is sort of an exciting venture, and just the very word innovation always excites me because I love the creativity that sort of hides behind the word. But I do want to just ask you, if you're successful with your application for grants, will there be additional need for community investment as well beyond the acquisition of grant funding?
There will be some, certainly. There's conditions, of course, in getting some of the grants that we apply some dollars. There's some investment today in Centre Wellington Energy that we can use in order to leverage some of that. Our investment at this point is very small in comparison to the amount of money that's available to us. It will be defined more as we go through technical and financial assessments with them. And also some of the providers. This really depends on how long they take to get involved with us and help engage in the funding. So there will be some investment certainly that we look at. We're also looking at other methods to invest as part of the expansion to bring other investors in because they would have a stake in this as well. So companies that would sell solar panels or storage systems would look at investing in this as a part of it as well. So at this point, my comment would be that it's a compared to how much money is available to us through the grants, we have a very small portion of commitment to that.
Councillor Kittredge?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have to say that this is a very exciting opportunity, and the presentation was very good. I do have a few questions about how is the cell going to work for actual concrete individuals? Like, is it going to stabilize our hydro rates? And will it decrease them, or will it always be going up with this? That's my first question.
Well, I guess the need is to stabilize. Certainly when we look at rates that are in the 40 to 50% increase, and that's a conservative estimate, we have to do something different. And by providing something like solar or wind power to these systems and using renewables will help stabilize those increases. Will it stop it? I don't think it'll stop it, at least not in the immediate term. But we do have to do something, or it will reach a tipping point where people will say it's going to be a lot less expensive to go completely off grid, and then we're really stuck. So we have to look at ways in which we can create some of those revenue opportunities, still give people some of the opportunity to participate, and also use as much renewable energy as we possibly can. So hopefully I answered your question there.
No, I have another question.
Follow on, Councillor Kittredge?
Thank you. So you're not saying that it actually will... There's sort of just the cell is the threat that it will go up to 50% higher. And I'm just wondering, because you're talking about solar and wind, which is highly subsidized, and at this present moment. And so I'm just wondering where the real savings will happen for
Sure.
the individual.
Well, I think what they're looking at right now is that by 2017, so really relatively quickly, that solar panels will be at parity to what the grid is. So what you generate from a solar panel would be the same amount as buying it from the grid. Now, they'll start to separate. The grid will be more expensive than solar at some point. And depending on how policies, et cetera, that will change as well. Now, if we're able to store some of that power, because today we can generate a lot of electricity for our homes using solar panels, but we can't store it anywhere. So by storing that power and bringing the cost of storage down, now we certainly have an opportunity to reduce our total costs. So, and that cost is fixed, which is something that we're battling against with the utilities and with providing it from a centralized location. Once we put solar panels on and storage systems there, it's a fixed cost. So we can cover that through some of the rates. But we don't have to make any further changes, and we don't have to pay for gas to convert it to energy. So the sun's going to do it on its own. So hopefully, and it is a hope that we can at least get to a point where we can maintain it, provide an energy, and maintain the fixed cost for the grid without raising the prices. And that's really where we start to look at the challenges, in that the less money we have for the Center Wellington Hydro, the greater the fixed costs are across the people who are left. And we certainly don't want to have that. And that's actually happening in the States today. There's many challenges going on with policies where they've installed solar panels, and so many people are migrating away from the grid that it's leaving everybody else with all these huge costs. And we certainly don't want that to happen.
One more follow-on, Councillor Kitchus?
Thanks, Mayor. So what will be the legal, I don't know if you've thought about this, the legal requirement of the individual homeowner to have these grids on their house? And then, like, will it lessen their ability to negotiate, like, their private rights, or how does that work?
I would say it's a great question, by the way, and it's certainly challenges that legal teams are taking around the world. But really, it's going to look at the way it's done today, that there's an agreement to put the solar panels on the rooftop. Today, they're being paid through a FIT contract, as was mentioned, so a feed-in tariff. So they put the solar panels on the rooftop. It's fed directly into the grid, and they're compensated at 23 or 24 cents a kilowatt hour. So what we're saying is, do the same thing, but we're gonna pay or compensate you in some shape or form for that solar panel. So you're going to become a partner of ours, and we're going to give you a cost less than what you're paying today. So it really becomes a partnership more than it becomes a service, and that's where we look at, within the legalities, how that can work.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have one quick question.
Okay.
On page 4, there's a box that says wind, and if you
Yes.
could just explain the physical characteristics of that box, that would be great.
The wind portion that we put on there is micro wind. So we're not looking at large turbines. We're actually looking at pole top turbines. So something that's small, something you can't hear, something that's not going to kill birds, all those things that are certainly part of the whole wind discussion today. They, in fact, would be enough to power a street light plus a little bit more. And they would be could be distributed on top of poles. We can also look at 3 kilowatt systems, which basically look like a small egg beater, and they would be distributed in areas where people couldn't see them. The nice part about the micro wind is that they start at lower speeds of wind, and they stop at lower speeds as well, so they're not noisy, and they don't interfere with anybody. So that's where we looked at. Really, the whole system we're looking at, a lot of organizations are looking at larger size microgrids. We're looking at very small size, so very small installations of power supply.
Great, thank you very much. Exciting opportunity. You can tell by the questions that you received here and how you answered them that a lot of thought has gone into this. And it's going to be exciting to see what partners join up in this venture. So that's great. And I know as you go along and more questions are answered, there's going to be more things that we want to add to the table. Councillor Lloyd?
Actually, it's not a question, it's just an observation. In our agenda package, it talks a little bit about your objectives, and one of them is to work with the development of the Groves Hospital properties and what's happening there. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity to be able to partner with something that's already another government initiative coming into our community. So it's a good partnership, and I'm really pleased that you're working towards seeing that happen. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and appreciate that you were able to boil it down like you did. I know there's a lot of detail that goes on beyond the slides that we got, so thank you very much. Bill, thanks Doug, and thanks Wayne for being here as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors.
Okay, moving on to confirmation of the agenda. I have a recommendation that the Council of the Township of Centre Wellington confirm the agenda for the meeting held January 25th, 2016. Can I move it for that? Councillor McElwain, seconded by Councillor Lloyd. All in favour? Okay, we have an agenda. Section 8 is the Committee of the Whole report from January 18th Committee of the Whole meeting. Is there any discussion of that, or can we move that ahead? Okay, so I have a motion that we. We usually have a motion.
Yeah, we do. It's the new system, so what we're going to do is adopt the report as set out.
Okay, so we have a motion that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Centre Wellington will adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole dated January 18th, 2016 as followed. And read that whole thing? Okay.
Or as outlined in the agenda.
As outlined in the agenda. Does that work for everyone? We usually do that, but I guess the new system doesn't allow us to give me a really easy recommendation to read out. Can I have a mover for that recommendation?
We'll fix it.
Councillor Lloyd, seconded by Councillor McElwain. All in favour? And that is carried. Okay, so we move on. We have no delegations listed here. We have a consideration of our first report, and it's the Growth Management Strategy Terms of Reference. And we have our Managing Director of Planning and Development, Brett Salmon, going to speak to that report. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you, Mayor Lynn and members of council. Recommendation here is regarding to adopt the terms of reference for the growth management strategy, which is attached. The terms of reference were prepared by Stantec. They're dated January 12th. Again, the recommendation also includes appointing Councillors McElwain and Lloyd and Mayor Linton as the representatives on the steering committee from council. That the steering committee be authorized to establish subject matter subcommittees as required, and further that we approve Stantec and Watson and Associates as single source vendors for a period of 3 years to complete the growth management strategy on the township's behalf. This report coming to council at this time stems largely from a report that went to council back in October, and that emphasized the need for getting on with a growth management strategy that we've been talking about internally since 2010 through council strategic plan, through that term of council, dollars set aside in a budget, and then again through this council's most recent priorities and initiatives plan, again re-emphasized the need to get on with a growth management strategy. And in that report, we indicated that we would develop a terms of reference to hire a consulting team to work with the township to develop the growth management plan, and anticipated that we would bring this forward, start early in 2016 and be completed by the end of 2016, and that's where we're at. The relationship with Stantec started last year. If council may recall, we you authorize staff to do an RFP to retain consultants to assist us with the review of Pearl Development's plan for both the north and the south side of the river. The idea was that that was a large project, multidisciplinary consulting team needed to assist township staff in order to keep up with council's priority to give that development prompt but thorough approvals. So we did an RFP to select consultants for that. And some of the key criteria was that you had professional planning staff, a senior level planner that was within a relatively short distance of the township office. I think 50 kilometers was the criteria that we set out, that you have consulting engineering, landscape architecture, environmental, a broad range of disciplines in-house, and that you not have development sector conflicts with the township on reviewing that project. Stantec were the winner of that, and so we believe, based on the relationship that we've created, that those same criteria would apply to this project, and that they're the ideal team to work with us on the growth management strategy. They're very familiar with the township already from the work that they've done, and they bring to the table detailed reporting on timelines, minute taking, all that. They have the full capability to do the report, and we've developed a good relationship. Watson and Associates have been the vendor of record for years on our. They've done all our development charge background studies, all of our financial analysis for water and sewer rates. So they're the right people to bring to the table on the financial side. So if I could just walk you through the terms of reference, it's meant to be fairly general at this stage, and that's why it's not a lengthy document. It sets out the purpose of the terms of reference for the growth management strategy. It will provide the basis for making future decisions and developing an understanding of growth, density, and infrastructure. Those are the three key level things. It talks about the context and council's priorities being reliable infrastructure, healthy growth, economic prosperity, pride of place, and good government. The growth management strategy is intended to help council address all those things as it goes forward. The purpose of the study is to address some of the provincial places to grow requirements that we are to develop phasing plans. There's a general outline of the study in the report. Terms of reference indicate it'll become a policy document. Key engagement plan will be developed fairly early. That's one of the first things that the consultant's going to set out to do. We're going to be working through social media and with our communication coordinator on that. Stakeholder engagement will happen very early, and other public engagement. The technical advisory committees described here, the technical advisory committee are more the expertise that comes from both within the township, the consulting team, and outside agencies. So, for example, the Grand River Conservation Authority, the Health Unit, county, and our internal staff will be the Technical Advisory Committee. We'll be assisted again by the GIS staff and Center Wellington Communication Coordinator. The Steering Committee is the broader committee that includes members of the public, the 3 members of council, people from our existing advisory committees will come to the table. This is a similar approach to what we took when we developed the township official plan back in 2002, 2003. The base steering committee consisted of key township staff, 3 members of council, and appointees from within our advisory committees. The feeling is anything much larger than that, you're going to get a group that's difficult to manage at this level. So the first bit of time will be spent on background issues, working sessions, and that'll result in an issues and analysis report coming to council. Timetable for that is estimated to be around the end of May. Then after that will be the visioning, alternative scenarios, and then the final strategy will be developed and come to council and the steering committee late in 2016. And so we hope the bulk of the work will be done by late in 2016. And right now our timetable, we're projecting that the final report would come to council in January of 2017, but the bulk of the work will be done by the end of 2016. So that's it in a nutshell. The recommendation regarding being able to set up subcommittees is just so as we go along, if we think that there's a topic area that we need to focus on where we don't have a specific representative or expertise that we want to bring in from volunteers within the community that have developed some expertise, then we can create a subcommittee to do that. And we don't have in our minds exactly what that will look like, but that's something we want to make sure that we have the freedom to be able to do within this terms of reference within council's recommendation. That's all I have to walk through it. But.
Thank you very much, Brett. I just wanted to mention that we did receive comments from Smart Growth, Elora, and Fergus, and we have Rick and Norman here in the audience. So if any of our discussions require questions of clarification, they are here to respond to that. We also received feedback from MHBC, and we have a representative here as well if there's any questions that need clarification. But staff haven't had the opportunity to go through these questions yet, so we have to remember that, but we wanted to make sure that they were here if it worked for them to answer any kind of clarification questions. As you see from the document, we're keeping things fairly flexible, and a lot of these questions will be answered throughout the process, as Brett laid out. So I'll turn it over to questions for Council. Councillor McElwain?
Thank you. Brett, when we had our discussion a week or so ago, and in the draft terms of reference document, there was a council representative on the advisory committee, and I see that has been removed. Personally, I think having that council representation all the way through the process is important, so I'm wondering if that can be added back in or somehow accommodated.
Okay. Well, I think the idea of the technical committee would be more of the engineers, the GRCA staff, who are the resource planners, et cetera, that would, so it'd be a much more technical discussion, and council representation normally wouldn't take place at that level. But what I think the idea of being able to have subcommittees and the notion of the managing directors are key members, as well as the 3 council appointees. It's not specifically laid out here, but as when reports are being prepared to come to council, that core group are going to have to meet on a regular basis to make sure that we have the proper reporting relationship with council. So that's what I would envision, that we would have ongoing meetings as the study proceeds with the director level staff and the 3 councillors to bring that continuous involvement throughout.
I think that may address my concern. I'm not 100% sure. I would like to see it added into the terms of reference somehow, if we could do that, just to keep it formal and upfront. And another really quick question. At the bottom of that page, it references the consulting team meeting with the technical advisory committee. Is that intended to mean the steering committee?
Well, the consulting team will be meeting both with the technical committee and the steering committee. So
there's another committee that isn't identified here, I guess, then is the question, because there is no technical, or there is no consulting team mentioned in the terms of reference except in that one spot.
Well, the consulting team is the team from Stantec. So they're going to be meeting with the technical advisory committee and the steering committee throughout the process.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we, before we go on though, can we cover, so I get that the consulting team means Stantec, right?
Right.
That's correct. So let's cover off the first thing that Councillor McElwain talked about. So what do we, when you talk about that other third grouping, as kind of an ad hoc working group going forward. Can we include that in the terms of reference to make sure that there's clarity?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of envision that would be within the scope of what we referred to as the subcommittees, but.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can have an including.
Sure.
Just to make sure that that's clear, because any kind of council representation or discussion should be made clear at the outset. CEO?
Yeah, just clarification, Councillor McElwain. There is a typo in the terms of reference. Under the steering committee, it says consulting team shall meet with the technical advisory. Under that category, that should say the steering committee, and it's a repeated sentence for both the steering committee and the technical committee.
Correct.
So.
Councillor Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under the section regarding stakeholder, you really don't identify that there are going to be subcommittees or that there can be subcommittees or meetings that would be happening, including specific expertise or other areas of interest. And I'm just concerned that if we don't state that we have an intention of having subcommittees and welcoming representation from IE groups, which using, for example, Greenlands or Neighborhoods or, those types of groups that are not represented. They're not represented here anywhere else. They're not part of our already committee structure. Right. And so I kind of would like to have a statement in there regarding that, because with it being a public process, if we acknowledge the fact that we do have that intention of having subcommittees, we should say that in this document.
That's right in my staff report. That's one of the 4 recommendations, that the steering committee be authorized to establish those subcommittees.
Okay.
It's in my report because it's not in the terms of reference.
Oh.
So that.
Okay. Well, it's very specific, so I wanted to be sure. Like, this document seems to have everything else in it, and it didn't really say anything about that. So I just kind of wanted it to make sure we don't miss it.
Well, that's the link between the report, the terms of reference being prepared from outside, and me being the one that's delivering the report. So the two go hand in hand.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brad, I noticed at 3.2.2, the public, on page 6, there's a reference in the paragraph there to a public engagement strategy to be developed at the beginning of the project. But I didn't find anywhere in the document where there is a council engagement strategy. Can you tell us just what council can expect and how involved council will be in this process? Because what happens so often in these kind of initiatives is council is given a multi-page document near the end of the process to digest in a rather hurried fashion. And so I'm just wondering, will we have the same opportunity as the public to look at this document throughout the process?
Well, I mean, the documents are always available for the whole of council as well as the public, but I think Councillor McElwain's point is, and the idea of having the working group is, we need to make sure that we establish that liaison between the working team and the rest of council, so that when it does come to council, that we have a feeling of substantial input when we get to that level. It's how we manage that. I can't say that we have a detail of how that's going to have to flow as the project flows.
Also, just add, similar to our advisory committee meeting minutes coming to council on a regular basis each month, the intent is we would be sharing all those technical documents and meeting minutes from the various steering committees to the advisory committees back through to council on a regular update as well.
Councillor Fisher, you had your hand up before.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to follow up on the last 2 questions. And obviously, engagement and consultations are a really important part of this. And as I understand the terms of reference, the intent is to develop, one of the first tasks for the consultants is to develop an engagement plan,
right?
Consultation plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand they will go through who the stakeholders are and how that'll all work, and it'll all be laid out in a document.
Right.
Do we as council get to see that document before it becomes finalized, have any input into that plan? Or does that just come along as part of the process and things flow from there?
I would have said the intention was probably that we, without council having to adopt it formally here and go through another whole cycle of staff reports and whatnot, that it will be available for people to comment on, and it's not going to be etched in stone that this is the engagement strategy and that's forever what it will be. So the same with the term of reference. We want to make the terms of reference fluid enough that once the steering committee gets started, there can be adjustments on the fly, like there is in every longer term consulting report. That's kind of the best answer I can give now. We haven't formulated that consulting strategy yet because we're not off the ground yet until council adopts this plan. So,
Councillor Kittrus?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I have some concerns echoed by Councillor McElwain and also Councillor Fisher. I think that the technical advisory committee should have a councillor on that. The reason why I feel that is because when experts get together, they need to have the ordinary person that is talking to regular people in the community there also. And that sort of allows and establishes, I know that it's very technical, but it allows for a nuanced report that involves the community on the very first level that we receive the information, and then that information goes into the report. And I think that, to echo Councillor Fisher's, is that, and also the other councillors, is that we're sort of feeling that we're getting these expert reports and we don't have very much time to digest them, and so we want to be more into the process. So that was what a lot of these questions seem to be coming about, that we need to have councillor in on this process, not just the public, not just the technical people, but us, not just the last where we, I guess, maybe just rubber stamp the thing, because it takes time to know all these processes. And I think that having a councillor on that technical will help, and then also involving us more through the process will help.
I just want to make a quick comment, and I know Andy has something to say. As far as a member of council in the technical advisory committee, I'm a bit mixed on it, and I can see where there's a need to have. There could be value in having a councillor on there for the purpose of making sure that they're involved in the nature of the discussions that happen at that meeting. The challenge I see with it, though, is that one councillor doesn't speak for council, and so whoever of us is at that meeting, we have no authority. We'd be there to make sure that we understand the nature of the discussion, and so that when we get into the steering committee, there's at least one of us there to say, these are the sorts of things that I witnessed that we talked about at the technical steering committee, at the technical committee. So I see it from that perspective. I'd like to get your thoughts on that, because I do see the danger in it as well.
Yeah, so just reiterating Brett's point, I think what we were looking at is that there would be a technical steering committee meeting, talking about the various issues and things of that nature, and then the working group with the councillors and the senior management team would have a meeting and dialogue about that information, and then that would come forward to the advisory committee. And so there are stages that this would go through, so the council representatives would be seeing it and sharing that information with the advisory committee and back to council. It's sort of the process we saw it through.
Mr. McElwain?
Thanks, Kelly. I'm still leaning towards having the council member there, and it goes back to discussions we've had previously concerning, we don't have an operations committee anymore, and so councillors aren't involved in the day-to-day discussions, and you end up with a situation where a report comes to council that says this is what we recommend, and council buys off on it because that's the only option they've seen. You never had the opportunity to listen to the other options that may be discussed. And I think that's the problem of not being involved in the fact that we don't have a lot of standing committees anymore, and not being involved in the advisory committee here. I think all of us have some level of intelligence, so we might even be able to throw out an idea to be discussed at some times. And so I think it's a good idea to have somebody there, personally.
Brett.
If I may, I think the issues that council are debating here are good ones, but that's the role of the steering committee. That's why there's 3 councillors and a representative of each one of our already existing community advisory committees on that steering committee, to bring the laypersons and council role to that group. The technical group and that's why there's 2 groups. The technical group is the nuts and bolts, and the political community side comes through the steering committee, and that's the connection between the technical side and the political side is meant to come through that steering committee.
Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to say I take that point. I think I see that relationship. What I guess the concern is, at least from my point of view, is that really does put a burden on the members, those members of the steering committee. That is the council members of the steering committee. That there's a heavy onus on them, given if this setup stays the way it is, to be that representation of council, to be involved in the process. And I'm assuming that the relationship between the steering committee and the technical advisory committee is that everything the technical advisory committee does, in some way, shape, or form, makes it to the steering committee for review, for further direction, for just general consultation with that group. I hope I'm right about that, if that's the intent. So the steering committee, in effect, will see everything that goes on at the technical advisory committee in order to give direction, in order to understand, and in order to pass that information on in some way, shape, or form to the rest of council, to the public, and whoever. So it can work. I just think it does put a heavy onus on those council members who are going to be on the steering committee, and they're going to play, if this system works the way it's supposed to, they're going to play a key role to address the issues that have been raised here tonight. And if we think there's more to it than that, that's, I think, where the idea of maybe you should have a councillor on the technical advisory committee as well. I agree with the mayor, there's pros and cons to that, but the key role is on the steering committee, as long as that role is understood and as long as all that material makes it through there, and those councillors, on behalf of the rest of us, truly do get their hands and their minds around everything that's going on in this process, because I assume that's the role of the steering committee, and it's very much their role.
Councillor Van Leeuwen?
Thank you. I definitely agree, Councillor Fisher, that it's going to be a heavy burden on them. One of the things that I feel strongly is it'd be nice, we get some of the advisory committee reports just as a report within our package. And when we get in operations, we do our finance in what's called committee of the whole. So we do have those committees, and all council gets an opportunity to sit on those operations. So we've actually not have less committee meetings, but we have more, and we all get an opportunity to be part of that. I'm kind of feeling that I would like to, even though there's 3 councillors who sit on the steering committee, I think somehow if we could work those into a committee of a whole meeting at some point where that update comes back and it can be explained, not just in a report fashion where I take as information, because sometimes through conversation more comes out of it, better questions come back, thoughts and ideas, and then all of councils, those 3 councillors go back and say, whether that's quarterly out of that year or whether that's 2 times a year, but that those who are not sitting on it feel like we have some more understanding as in the committee of the whole aspect, and we have 3 councillors and management staff to work us through that.
So what you're suggesting then is adding an item to our agenda for committee of the whole. That's an update on the growth management strategy.
Right.
On a regular basis.
Yeah, some type of period, whether it doesn't have to be every.
Maybe every other month or something like that.
I was thinking quarterly or something, even if it's a 4 terms.
Well, it's a year, right?
Yeah,
so
it's 4 good.
A lot's going to happen quick, so maybe every other month is the right setup.
Right. But at least we get a part as a whole, in the committee of the whole, to really divulge, and maybe something out of that conversation even helps us understand where we're going or furthers the conversation.
The only caution that I have as we're thinking this through, we have a year to do this. And if we're going to have a milestone every other month at committee of the whole, because we like to get into things here. And that's we have to get this done in 2016. We gave a commitment to have comments back to the developer in 2016. We have to reach that milestone. So we have to make sure that we balance off our need to be involved in the process with being expeditious with this as well. Yeah, Andy.
So just on that, I mean, kind of going from the technical committee to the work plan committee to the advisory committee, what I see is a regular reporting back from the advisory committee to committee of the whole. There will be certain milestones that we'll go through and share reports. The councillors on the advisory committee will be able to share that information as well as the staff report. There are going to be stepping stones to this development of the overall plan that we're going to need to come back to council and say, here's what we heard, here's the kind of direction what we're thinking based on the advisory committee, test the waters with council, make those tweaks, and then go back to the next stages of the plan and moving that forward. So that's very much the piece where it's not, you're approving in terms of reference today, and we're coming back with a growth plan in October, November. There will be report backs from the advisory committee on a regular basis to council, committee of the whole.
Councillor Lloyd.
So when I read this document, I look at technical advisory committee as the place where they give us all the official what ifs and what is and there is and this is happening and this is what we have in place and that's how it works. I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the steering committee would be the first committee to meet and who would sit down and say, okay, this is our plan, this is what we need to do, working with Stantec advisory and the representatives on the steering committee to sit down and say, what do we really need to make this plan work? And then it going back to the technical advisory representatives to get the information so that the steering committee can then do its work. That's how I see this rolling out. And when I read word public in here for the committee and the involvement for public, the onus is on us as individual councillors. Even though I have a seat at the table on the steering committee, I will want to be at all the public open houses. I'll be wanting to be involved with the public and talking about this because it reflects on the information that I bring back to the steering committee as well as the discussions that I can have informally with any councillor at any time through that public process. And there's nothing barring me as an individual councillor from calling another councillor and saying, this is what we're discussing at the steering committee. What do you think? Let's have an informal chat. Let's have a coffee. I think the risk that we are running by inviting more council involvement, more members into this meeting is every time we exceed 3 people at one of these meetings, we go into official council meeting. So under the Municipal Act, we have to be very careful how we operate through these events and have discussions with one another unless we're wanting to keep calling council meetings. And I can see the look on our clerk's face. She will not be happy if we're having council meetings without her present and certainly conducting them in an official way. So, it's sensitive. It's difficult for us all to be at the table unless we're doing it through committee of the whole.
Councillor Fisher, you had your hand up there a bit ago. No. You're good? Councillor Kittredge?
Thank you, Mayor. I think that Councillor Lloyd's comments are, they're valid in the sense that we should consider that maybe the public we can talk to each other and call each other up, but I haven't seen a lot of that practice, so that's a sort of a thing that we have to encourage. I'm a little bit worried about some of the defining words that somehow councillors would be a danger on the technical committee. None of us are dangerous. We're all wish the best for everything, and that somehow we would be thwarting this process, delaying it. There's no way we want to delay it. We've made a commitment to it. But to have more engagement, that's what our job is. So that we ask for that, and that Councillor Van Leeuwen's comments about having meetings, I think that's an excellent idea. I think that having an actual formal meeting where we talk, and yes, things just come up because somebody has a different perspective, because the informal engagement where somebody calls it, that's informal, and it doesn't really, I think that we should be a little bit more formal about that.
Make a quick comment, and then I'll get to you, Steve. I think that is true. I think we need the formal and we need the informal, because I see the purpose for both of them. But I really do want us to make sure that the committees are set up to succeed, and that, to me, that means there has to be clarity into the different purposes and scope of the two committees. And I feel like if we add council involvement to the technical advisory committee, it might start to encroach on the purpose of the steering committee. And to me, when there's lack of clarity, then you get into trouble. But I do appreciate the fact, as was mentioned here, is that the onus is on the three to make sure that we do use informal and formal channels to get information out and get feedback from council, because we don't want, at the end of the day, to have a report and not have council support it. Like, that's something that's critical, and we have to put in place the milestones that we have to put in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Councillor Van Leeuwen?
Thank you, Mayor. I think there's the one aspect with the technical committee. I am okay not having a councillor on, and there's one reason is, again, the steering committee sends them back. That's all really about how many sewer pipes, how do we want to add this and that. I'm not sure what the councillor would, what they would involve, or how they would be part of that aspect. What are the rules for this and there? So I'm good with leaving that off. I want to be clear there. One of the reasons I think it's so important that council has opportunity to sit down at this table as a complete is because it is council's, not the three steering committees' final growth strategy, right? So we need to believe it. We need to be part of it. This is going to set out what the town looks like for a long time. It's not, if there's a milestone, if there's something that hits us in 6 months in that's so big that if some councillor brings up and we can't make a decision on it, then that's something that steering committee really has to work on. That's important. So it should, if there's a milestone out there or something that's going to hit us hard, it should actually come forward, or we've missed something. So that's where it's important that I feel that it does come back. We have what that looks like. I don't think we have to change our terms of reference, but we should put it as council to say we need to have these updates at a committee, because it is a committee and it's a committee of the whole, that we incorporate it in. There's no extra meetings. We'll get an opportunity to speak about it in a good format. So, thanks.
Right.
Well, I think we can formulate that alongside the engagement strategy, and we'll report back to council on it.
Okay, so I'm going to read the recommendation that the Council of the Township of Centre Wellington approve the terms of reference growth management strategy prepared by Stantec Consulting Limited, dated January the 12th, 2016, including the composition of the steering committee as set out in the terms of reference, and further that Mayor Linton and Councillors McElwain and Lloyd be appointed as council representatives on the steering committee, and further that the steering committee be authorized to establish subject matter subcommittees as required, and further that council approve Stantec Consulting Limited and Watson and Associates Economists Limited as a single source vendors for a period of 3 years as detailed in this report, and to particularly complete the growth management strategy on the township's behalf. I have a mover for that recommendation, Councillor McElwain, seconded by Councillor Van Leeuwen. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Brett. And I'd just like to say to the members that were here, the questions that are outstanding in your submissions, they will be answered as we go through this process. So we're not, us passing that recommendation doesn't preclude that we're going to be answering the questions that you have in there. Okay. Moving to 10.2, Public Sector and MPP Accountability and Transparency Act 2014. That sounds really exciting. We have a report from our Manager of Legislative Services. Sorry, I wasn't being sarcastic, I was being honest.
Through you, Mayor Litton, it may not be the most exciting thing on the agenda, but it is important to us that we bring it to Council's attention. The legislation was passed earlier this year, and it does have an impact to local municipalities with respect to records management, with respect to more accountability and transparency, as well as the changes to the Ombudsman's Act, which is one that we're going to have to look at in depth. And I have done a little bit of research with the other municipalities in the county about the difference between the provincial ombudsman and appointing a municipal ombudsman. And it was collectively decided amongst the municipalities that they would not appoint, or there was no appetite to appoint our own municipal ombudsman, given the costs involved and the complaints that may arise may be few and far between. So I'm recommending to Council that you receive my report and that we default to the provincial ombudsman.
And I'm so excited that we have another level of government that oversees this level of government. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Any questions from Council for Kerry? Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, and it was just something I saw. I think everybody probably saw it. I think the Ombudsman's office is putting on a seminar, workshop, conference, whatever they call it, for a day, and specifically for municipal staff, municipal councillors, municipal officials, to explain their take on what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing it. And I think the point to remember in all that is this is new to them. And certainly anyone who's ever been in a municipality that's had any experience with them prior to that realizes that their knowledge and awareness of municipalities and how they work and how things happen is limited. And so I would hope that there'd be kind of a two-way exchange there, but it would be a very useful thing to at least some of us would go to that. It would be very educational. And they have new staff at the Ombudsman. A new ombudsperson is still, well, there's an acting one in place now, and there's a search on for a permanent person. And I think it's going to be a whole new era from what it was in the past. So it's an opportunity for us to learn. It's also an opportunity for them to learn. And going forward, that's going to be very, very important.
That's a good point, Councillor Fisher. Councillor Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your report, Kerry, you also attached I guess it would be a flyer about what it is that the Ombudsman for Ontario would be doing and how could they help and different things. Is it possible to put that little flyer on our website as a separate item so that if someone has a question, it's there, it's public, it's out there for them to get without having to look inside our minutes to find it? Not print it and make it public. I mean, put it there if somebody wants it.
I certainly can. They are pamphlets that we were given in the hundreds. So, given Council's direction tonight, we will put them out for the public. Absolutely. I think to put it on the website now might be a little premature, because I think once we establish our complaint policies and our complaint handling system and tracking system that we are required to do, that might be, we would have a whole page or a complaint system attached to the website. So I can put it on there, but it's sort of alone in its right now in it. Because there'll be a whole process around it. that we're going to have to establish.
What's the timelines for that? When do we have to have that done by?
There's no timeline. What you're trying to do is establish a system so that if you can prove that a complaint was received and dealt with and tracked appropriately, that when the ombudsman is brought into the system, you can prove that it was handled appropriately at the local level, and then they decide whether they come in or not. I should make it clear that the Ombudsman's Office, Lisa and I did attend the training earlier, and they are the place of last resort. They want to make sure, absolutely sure, that the complaint has been dealt with at the local level before they will even consider looking at the complaint. So what we need to do is establish that centralized complaint system, make it easy for people to file those complaints, differentiate between a service request, such as a pothole on my street, and what a legitimate complaint really is. So that's the work we have in front of us that we really weren't anticipating to do this year.
Councillor Kittredge.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering, Carrie, if you could just sort of describe what were the costs actually that were put out for this local ombudsman, or maybe for a county ombudsman?
Through you, we didn't go that far. We had discussions at our clerks and treasurers meetings, and there was just no appetite to go that far collectively. We do it as a meeting investigator, where the county picks up the retainer, but the county didn't. There just was no appetite to go that route. So, thus, we'll default to the provincial ombudsman.
So, in other words, there's no fee because we're not choosing our own. We're not choosing our own service. So we're not paying for our own service. It defaults automatically to the ombudsman in case something happens.
Correct. Should council prefer to appoint their own ombudsman, I would pursue that to find an individual and relay the costs back to council. But it's my recommendation that for now we have a complaint system to get into place, and that defaulting to the ombudsman for now is the way to go.
Councillor Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Carrie, is there a cost to the township to the province's ombudsman's office if they are engaged? If they do come here, do they charge us for that visit?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay.
And the complainant, there's no cost to file a complaint either.
Okay, so go ahead and read the recommendation that the Council of the Township of Centre Wellington receive report COR 2016-10 dated January 25th, 2016 from the Manager of Legislative Services, Municipal Clerk, regarding the Public Sector and MPP Accountability and Transparency Act 2014, Bill 8, and that the Council default to the Provincial Ombudsman as the investigator for complaints as they relate to the Public Sector and MPP Accountability and Transparency Act. Have a mover for that recommendation. Councillor Lloyd, seconded by Councillor Van Leeuwen. All in favor? And that carries. 10.3, we have the Connecting Links Program application. Report from Colin Baker, Managing Director of Infrastructure Services.
Okay, thank you, Mary Linton. Just a brief overview of this report. It's really the culmination of about 3 years of work. As I guess some councillors will recall, January 2013, the Connecting Link program, which funded capital work for Highway 6 through Fergus, was ended in January 2013 by the province. And the Township of Centre Wellington, along with many other connecting link municipalities, really lobbied the province to get this program reinstated. So just earlier in 2015, this program was brought back, and applications were starting to be accepted as of, I believe the application was released kind of late November. So we've certainly completed. We have a need, very high priority need with the St. David Street Bridge and replacing that superstructure. So we've applied and really, we've submitted some fairly detailed information in support of that application. And really it's been, some of the studies that Council's approved over the last few years, like the road condition assessment that we did in 2013, and our biennial bridge inspections that the last ones were done in 2014, and also our asset management plan. The province wanted a full copy of that, as well as just to see where the connecting link pieces fit within that program. So we submitted a fairly detailed application, probably about 500, 600 pages by the time it was all said and done, and that was submitted back on Friday via Thursday, to the ministry. Just to say they have committed to getting back to municipalities as to whether or not they're successful by the end of March of this year. So, be happy to take any questions.
I have a couple questions. One, we went for it's up to 90% they pay for. So did we go for the 90%?
Certainly, yeah. So it's 90% up to a maximum of $3 million. So the full replacement cost for this structure is about $2.8 million, and so the 90% works out to be a $2.2 million ask for funding.
I have talked to other mayors, and they've gone under the 90, as thinking that might be a better way of getting funding. Have we talked about that as a strategy before?
Based on the past practice, this connecting link application program seems identical to the way the province used to administer it. I understand the information they asked for in this application was almost identical to what they used to ask for about 5-6 years ago. So we're assuming that the 90% was a reasonable ask.
One more following question: If we get turned down for this, can we flip this application over fairly easy to the federal government and try to get our hands on the $10 billion that they want to give out so badly?
Well, we can certainly try. It is probably the highest priority need. I think we've presented an extremely strong case to the province, just given its current condition. The consultant at MMM Group is suggesting that we're going to be in a load restriction scenario within probably 2 to 3 years. So in terms of priority, I don't know how we could have presented that it would be as high a priority. So if this is not successful, we'll keep applying to whatever programs are available just to get this bridge replaced.
Thanks, Colin. Councillor Lloyd?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was pleased to see that you'd also done some inquiries with the county to talk about timing for the Badley Street Bridge, and that it would not be something that would be ideal to have two major arteries in our community crossing the Grand River out. The fact, too, that the county was turned down for funding for that bridge. We received a letter not long ago saying that we were not eligible for St. David Street upgrades from the Ontario government. What's different about that application and this application?
Yeah, so through Mayor Linton, it's really the province recognizing the connecting links are kind of their own unique piece of infrastructure throughout the province. They're in small communities. They have a really, they're part of the regional transportation network. So it's the province recognizing, the importance of them, and that, the importance to the provincial transportation network. And so that was the message from all the municipalities over the last few years, whether it was at the Good Roads Conference or at AMO, is that, these small municipalities shouldn't be burdened with doing capital replacement on connecting link infrastructure, just given the provincial importance of that infrastructure.
Councillor Lloyd?
Did we submit a traffic count along with that? And if so, could you please,
Certainly.
if you kind of know the number, tell our public that?
Sure. So we updated our traffic counts back in just last summer, 2015. And the traffic count, I believe we had it countered right at the bridge, just between St. Andrew Street and the bridge. And it was 14,200 vehicles per day on average. So that is an average day, a weekday, and so that doesn't even count, the traffic that we might see on a long weekend coming through Fergus. So that's just kind of Monday to Friday, typical day.
Councillor Morris?
Just a couple of questions, Colin. In the event that the province denies our application, God forbid, but in the event that they do, is it within our power to close this bridge? And secondly, I noticed in your report that we're talking 2018 as the year for the repairs. Is that correct?
That's true.
What are your plans for fixing the intersection of St. David and St. Andrew Street, which it's getting kind of a deep pothole there. You can almost feel the heat from the Earth's core. So,
yeah. Is it within our power? I believe the legislation is set up so that we are in control of that structure. So if we need to place a legal load limit, it would be passed under bylaw, and it would essentially be council's decision to pass that bylaw. So hopefully that answers the first part. The second part, we do have the intersection at St. Andrews and St. David included in the pavement management program, the 2015 pavement management program. So we do have some rehab paving that's going to happen early in the spring. Just kind of coordinating the different contractor just unfortunately didn't happen this year, but early in the spring we will be doing some remedial paving throughout that intersection.
Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colin, I'm just looking at the minister's letter here. It's that letter in November that's attached to the report. And am I reading it right? It says the new $15 million annual program helps 77 municipalities. Is that 77 into 15 isn't a lot? How much did we apply for? Are you at liberty to say that or
no? Sorry, through Mayor Lytton. So that's correct. The total annual grant amount is $15 million. And each grant is the maximum of $3 million. Like I mentioned earlier, our total project cost was $2.8 million, and our ask, so 90% of that would be $2.2 million. So our ask for funding would be, our request for funding is $2.2 million.
Thank you very much, Colin, for that report. Receive it for information. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Township of Centre Wellington receive as information a report on the Connecting Links program application for the St. David Street Bridge superstructure replacement as outlined in report number IS 2016-01, dated January 25th, 2016. The mover for that recommendation, Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Fisher. All in favor? And that carries. Okay, moving on to bylaws. 2016-01, a bylaw to amend the Township of Centre Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended to change the zoning of certain land from A to A.34.5. That's at 6827 and 68536 line West Garifraxa. 2016-02, a bylaw to amend the Township of Centre Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended to change the zoning of certain land from A to A.35.10. That's at 66956 the line West Garifraxa. 2016-03, a bylaw to replace Schedule B, Fire Services of bylaw number 2015-055, being a bylaw to establish the fees and charges for various services provided by the municipality. 2016-04, a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute a lease agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Centre Wellington and the Fergus Agricultural Society. I have a recommendation that bylaws 2016-01 through 2016-04 be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed. Mover for that, Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor McElwain. All in favor? That's carried. Questions from the media? Good, okay, thank you. Confirmatory bylaw, a bylaw to confirm the actions of council. Recommendation that the bylaw 2016-05 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held January 25th, 2016 be introduced a first, second, and third time and passed in open council. Mover, Councillor Lloyd, seconded by Councillor Van Leeuwen. All in favor? And that's carried. And do I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Kittredge, seconded by Councillor Morris. All in favor? And we're adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the night.
And we'll see you back here.
And we'll see you back here at 11.
Yep.